Go ahead.
Welcome into another edition of Press Box Live, the Monday baseball chat on another Tuesday. Stan the Fan, Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson. And we are brought to you by our friends at the Costas Inn with two great locations. One, the new one in Timonium, just above the grandstand of the racetrack there, right next to the OTB. And they're doing some booming business there, and they're doing good business out at the old classic location, the original location, 4100 North Point Boulevard. Everything the same except one significant difference. 4100 North Point Boulevard is where you go for crabs, steamed crabs, 410 477 1975 to check on availability, price point, and size. The other location has the same great menu as the original location in Timonium. Both locations open Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, and they are both open for lunch and dinner. Also brought to you by the law offices of Byron Warnken. 443 results is the phone number, not just a phone number, a mission statement. If you need representation, if you've been injured in an accident in Baltimore or the state of Maryland, WarnkenLaw.com is your way to check up on the best law firm in town. WarnkenLaw.com. All right, guys. The Orioles, I don't know if we can say that they're showing signs of life, but the team does show some fight. It's been disappointing. That series in Washington, losing 2 out of 3 to Washington, was not good. But coming in against Tampa Bay yesterday afternoon was a positive victory, a 9-7 victory in that one. Your guys' thoughts, Luke? I'll start with you today.
That Memorial Day weekend was definitely Colton Cowser's weekend for sure. He needed that, and he had been swinging the bat better over the past couple of weeks. And I got to give myself a pat on the back, boys. Stan a few weeks ago asked if you were Craig Albertez, what would you do to help out your starting pitching that was struggling so badly? I said, well, I would play Colton Cowser because if none of your corner outfielders are going to hit, you might as well play the guy who's going to catch the ball. And it ended up working out. And I also said something to the
Yeah,
tune,
but he's hitting.
and now he's hitting. That's
Yeah,
good, Stan, right?
so he's suddenly a plus player for the past four
And
or
and
five
what I
games.
also said was, look, if he can just run into one fastball a week, hit 25 home runs in the season, hit 220, and play
Right.
really good defense in the outfield corner, and a minimum salary player, that's a good big leaguer. And
Yeah, he loves
it's
being a
not
minimum,
perfect,
and he
got
still will be a
warts,
minimum
but that's it.
salary player.
But what's that?
He loves being a minimum
Oh,
salary player.
you hit
We
more.
got enough of those guys.
Yeah, if you hit more walk-off home runs like he did this past weekend, he's not going to be a minimum salary player very long. I can tell
Yeah,
you
you
that.
tallywhack the ball the way he's been tallywhacking, and you suddenly start making some cash. Ross, your thoughts on the club? To me, the most promising thing has been the pitching of Shane Baz, Brandon Young, and Kyle Bradish. All three of them are pitching pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's Bradish and Young have been really throwing the ball well. Boz, you hope he can continue and get on a streak like these other guys. His last 2 games have really been good. Hopefully he'll throw well tonight. But you got to, like I said earlier in the year, you got to get 3 guys. You get 3 of your starters on a roll that will really help your club out. The thing with guys getting the pitchers getting hitters out with two outs and 2 strikes, putting them away, making better pitches. The hitters, driving the guys in with 2 outs. I mean, I think they're hitting under 190. I think they're something like 183 with runners, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. And that really, if you can bring that up a little bit. And the bullpen, I mean, everything is kind of hit and miss. You get on a little bit of a roll, and then whammo, you get slapped in the face by Washington or whoever you play well. It's just very inconsistent. You just hope they get some consistency and start moving in the right direction. They're only 3 games out of the wild card spot, which is really something that you kind of scratch your head about. But hey, they got that. They get in there.
There's a
But
lot of mediocrity right now.
oh gosh, yes. I mean, there's only maybe not even half the Major League Baseball has teams over 500.
Well, I
So
think
that
in the
tells you.
American League, what the Guardians, Tampa Bay, and the Yankees are the
That's
only
four.
four
Yeah,
teams
just the
above
four. Yeah.
500. Yeah.
4 teams. I think there's 8 or 9 in the
And I
National
think
League.
I
So
think the White Sox are at 500.
Right.
yeah, and they've been playing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's I think it's a matter of consistency, and the injuries are just absolutely skyrocketing. Every time you turn around, somebody's got a pulled toenail or a strained hair somewhere. But yeah, it's just unbelievable. So there's a lot of ifs
How
and
do you
buts, and
strain a hair, Ross?
yeah, I don't know. I haven't yet to see that. They haven't come up with a initials for that yet, but I'm sure somebody has something similar to that.
I'll tell you one thing about the injuries this year. I make out my scorecard as soon as I see the official lineup. And it seems like 20 minutes before a game, like every 3 days, like 3 times a week, last minute change in the Oriole lineup. Kobe Mayo is scratched because of back spasms. Blaze Alexander, calf spasms. I mean, I've never seen so many people,
And
you know.
well, that tells you something. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
Some of this, I mean, and then when you go out and get people, you get guys, somebody's throwaway from another team. So how do you expect to improve? I just don't understand it a lot of times what's going on.
Luke, let me ask you a question. And I'm still a fan of Anthony Nunez, and I especially like his composure, and I love the way he handled the media after that tough loss in Tampa last week.
Mhm.
I thought he was really great for a young player to meet the media, and they sort of are pushed to do that, but he really handled himself well. But do you think he's the right guy right now for that role? Because it's been about 3 out of the last 4 times he's coughed up a lead.
Here's the problem. Ryan Helsley's out,
Yeah,
and that pushes everybody up a level, so to speak. So now Rico Garcia is the regular closer,
right.
and Helsley's
And
going to.
Kittredge and
That's
Wells
another
have
thing.
not performed
Like
well.
Kittredge got hurt in the spring.
Yeah,
He hasn't been right. Really, in the Orioles signed him to a 2-year deal, and the only
yeah,
time he's looked like himself was with Chicago.
yeah,
Okay. And so, and then Wolfram was out for a little bit, and he was their top left-handed setup guy. He just came back, and they're trying to ease him back into his role. And so, I think in that eighth inning spot, if it's like a right, left, right, you probably go to Cano. But if it's left, right, left, you might prefer Nunez because of the changeup.
yeah.
And he really hasn't been pitching that long. He came up as an infielder. I think he converted to pitching 2 or 3 years ago. So he's still pretty green on the mound. And Ross, I don't know if you've worked with converted infielders, converted outfielders in the past about
I'm sure he has. I'm
how
sure. Have you,
long
Joe
Ross?
Nathan, Joe
Joe Nathan.
Nathan.
how long it takes them to establish, especially once they get to the big leagues, establish a routine and something that works for them.
It's a brand new thing for them, and they especially learning more so at the big league level. That's not a place to learn or actually be taught a lot of things. I mean, hopefully you got a little bit of a foundation under you. Some guys don't, and at this the way the game is now, everybody is rushed so much from one level to the next, or even to the big leagues. So man, there's a lot more instructing and knowledge and just basic things being thrown at guys having to learn at the major league. That's a tough place to learn, and you're gonna take. I think guys are rushed that are injured. They're trying to get back quicker. The organization wants you to get back, and then you end up struggling. You talk about Kettridge. He had what he pitched the first time out. He give up 7 runs in I think a third of an inning, and that really screwed a lot of things up for him, his ERA and what have you. But yeah, it's it's just a lot when
I,
you're a young guy with little experience.
I get back to it, Luke. Again, I love the guy, and long term, I like him. But right now, and I get that Helsley's down, is he the right guy though for that role? I mean, again, I repeat, I think it's 3 of the last 4 games he's coughed up a lead.
Right, and now his ERA is approaching 6. Um, I mean, maybe I mean in that spot today where you got a
I
couple
don't
of
know who else they have in the organization right now.
yeah, I mean today say the Orioles have a 1-run lead in the 8th and it's left, right, left coming up. Maybe you go to Wolfram in that spot. Um, but on the other hand, Garcia's probably not available today because he just threw 2 innings. So you got to find
I
effective
guess
relief
here's my
somewhere.
here's my question. If they had kept the lead, you got to get through. He brought Nunez he brought Cano in the 6th, right?
I forget already.
He let Cano pitch to one batter,
Right.
and then he went to Nunez for seemingly for 2, right?
I
I
don't know.
mean, you thought he came in the
A long
7th.
game. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I got the I got the book right here. Radish pitched 6, Wolfram pitched 2, Cano pitched an inning and third, so he brought him in for the 8th. Okay, I'm wondering, couldn't you have kept Cano in there for the 8th to take
Well,
it to
the
Garcia
thing with
with the
Cano is
lead?
that they really like to hide him from left-handed hitters. And
Yeah, really.
and
I get
so
that.
and like and that's the thing. And they're probably even though the numbers are pretty stark right now in terms of the difference, they like Nunez against left-handed hitters more than Cano. And part of the reason why Cano's numbers look so sparkling is that he's facing mostly right-handed hitters.
Okay, fair
So,
enough. Fair enough. Let me
But
look
well,
at.
that could change, depending on who you have in the pen
right,
for tonight.
right. It could be that now Cano's just going to be the setup guy, and he's
Yeah,
going to face
well,
whoever in the 8th inning.
you
You
gotta
know?
hope you gotta hope your starter gives you some innings because if he
Well, that
doesn't,
certainly helps, right? Your
oh,
starter
well,
gives you 7 or 8 innings.
especially after 13 innings last night.
Yeah. And did you see that they needed to make room for a fresh arm? So they
Yeah,
brought in Paquette and they DFA'd ends.
which is
The
kind of
DFA'd ends today.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I
So
was
that
kind of
that kind
liking the
of
way ends looked lately.
he's been throwing pretty well.
And
I
so,
mean,
and like Enns is making 2.5 mil around there. And
Right,
so I think they think that he's going to make it through waivers and they can send him to Norfolk.
right.
But Enns is
yeah.
left-handed. He can eat a couple innings at a time for a team. He mostly throws strikes. I think he might get picked up by some team.
I
I
think
don't
A
know.
good chance. I mean, he had the one outing where he gave up 4 runs in I think an inning or something like that.
I will say
and
this though.
they
I
brought up
think
Raquette for him.
yeah,
Yeah,
because they need a fresh arm for today. And
yeah,
so,
right.
and for me, like I like Enns more than Aiken from what I've seen dating back to late last year.
Yeah,
And like Aiken's making 3. And so they're making pretty much the same money.
right.
And so like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Well,
They're scrambling.
is has
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
did anybody pick up Suarez today?
I
Or
haven't
we don't
seen
know yet.
anybody who has. So
Okay.
he's made it through waivers a couple times. So I'm guessing that they think that he's going to make it through again. But that's another issue where roster wise, they don't have many optionable pieces in their bullpen.
Yeah,
Like Cano has options, but you're not going to option him.
right.
Nunez has options, so I guess you could have sent him down. But they like him, and they just don't have many guys in the bullpen with options. And so they've got
Speaking
to
speaking of an
outright
option,
DFA
Well,
guys.
who do they have at AAA that could? Who do they have at Double A
they've
that
got
could
Well,
cover?
that's
virtually
another
no.
thing. They don't have a lot of options at AAA
Really?
that,
Yeah.
worthwhile.
How about the kid who was at Bowie? He's at Norfolk. Yaki Ramirez. Is it? I hate to sound like I've
I don't
uh,
know.
it's he's up a level. But speaking of options, did you see that Tampa Bay picked up Craig Kimbrell
I
today?
did see that.
And he's apparently in Baltimore going to pitch for the Tampa Bay Rays. And what are the chances they don't figure out something with Craig Kimbrell?
Oh, you get Braves Craig Kimbrell for the next 4 months in the
Right,
Rays bullpen.
right. They have a way, I'll tell you that. Ross, before we take a break, let me ask you what your breakdown on what Kyle Bradish has started to do, because he has looked pretty remarkable the last four times. He looked about as good as he has since 23 when he really burst on the scene in the first half of 24.
I have a pretty simple breakdown. Before I turn it over to Ross,
Yeah.
I just think he's throwing more strikes. Ross?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're getting ahead in the count. You make quality pitches when you get ahead. You get behind, you got to be able to throw an off-speed pitch behind in the count. It all comes down to getting ahead and being able to throw an off-speed pitch behind in the count, but locating, establishing your fastball and throw. I don't care how hard you throw. If you establish your fastball, you got a chance, and locate it, you got a chance of having some success. And that's what we see with a young throw strikes.
Hmm.
You know,
Young really attacked the
I mean,
strike zone
it's
the other night.
and you know, he usually keeps the ball down in the zone pretty well at times. But Bradish is, you know, throwing more strikes, getting ahead in the count. That's about as simple as you can make it. He has he's not a overpowering fastball, but he's got a pretty good breaking ball. So I mean, he just pitching and making. You know, you see more. I think if more guys would watch the game instead of looking at the iPad, they would see how to attack hitters, what they do with certain people that basically are similar than you and as similar as you, the way you pitch. But I mean, you know, there's some basic things you got to do, and I don't think a lot of the Oriole pitchers have been doing that. And
Yeah,
the
I mean,
ones that have,
as a whole, this starting staff has not thrown enough strikes, and they've fallen
no,
behind way too much. And
and
And I
making
would
good
say
pitches with
that
two strikes when
I
they're
would say that
ahead.
the three pitchers I alluded to, Boz, Young, and Bradish, have been doing that the last few times.
yeah,
I was
and Boz,
especially
I tell
I
you
was
what,
very
that
impressed with Young uh, against the Tide.
I mean, you talk about punching above your weight class. This is an undrafted guy who got punched in the face last year and has bounced back this year to really give them some quality outings. And so they should be happy with his progress for sure.
But
Well,
he's getting
Ken
an opportunity and he's taking
Yep.
advantage.
Yep.
well
Yep.
Ken Singleton used to punch Ross Grimsley in the face all the time. That's why he looks. That's why he looks so beat up.
That's a look.
Hey, Ross, before I take the break, seriously, and Luke gave a good answer and you gave a good answer about Bradish. Talk a little bit about this thing. I read the article yesterday that Al Bumbry's going to be honored in the Hall of Fame for his war service. Have you heard?
Yes, I hadn't heard it, but I mean, you know, B comes down here. You know, he bought a home down here,
Right.
and he comes down and he would stay with us for a while, and you know, we obviously play golf. We get a chance to talk to him and what have you. And he's told me he doesn't talk a whole lot about it.
About the war, yeah.
No, but he does, and I mean, we sit around at times and. Yeah, something we'll hear something or say something, and he'll talk a little bit about it, but it's not something that you try to, you know, drag out and drag out of him and stuff. But when he wants to talk about it, he'll talk about it, you know. But it's very special that what he went through and coming back and being able to play after missing a few years. So yeah, it's well deserved. That's
He was a
B's a tremendous person.
he was a platoon commander, and I had always heard he never lost anybody in his platoon,
That
but
was his whole goal. His whole goal was to
he
get his
said he
guys
did
back.
lose one. The guy took the wrong path.
Yeah,
But Al is a really special person, no
he
question.
is. He
All right.
is. He's something else.
All right. We're going to take a time out now and tell folks about the Costa Sin. Ross, when are you coming into town?
I will be there on on the 11th or 12th.
Of June.
Yes.
And we're
Okay.
doing crabs, right?
Yeah, you know it.
Let's
We're
do
gonna
it.
get we're gonna get out to the Costa Sin for some crabs with Ross and Luke. That'll be out at the original location of 4100 North Point Boulevard, the home of steamed crabs in Baltimore. The other location in Timonium is above the grandstand at the racetrack, right next to the OTB. Both locations open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. The difference is if you want to line up your crab feast, got to call this number 410-477-1975 out at the Costas Inn at North Point Boulevard, 4100. Make sure you can get the size you want, the price point you want, and the availability. But the days of pulling up the night you want your crabs and thinking they're going to have them, you got to reserve them in advance because crabs are, I'm not saying they're scarce, but the demand for them is off the chart. Costas Inn, two great locations. And don't forget, we're also brought to you by Warrington Law, 443 Results. Byron will be in with me on the Friday baseball show this Friday on PressBoxOnline.com. 443 Results, not just a phone number, mission statement, WarringtonLaw.com, WarnKen.com for the best legal service if you've been injured in an accident in Baltimore and the state of Maryland. Back with more talk for a few minutes tonight. Garrett Jacks versus Shane Boz tomorrow night at 6:35. And Luke, the reason it was so confusing, I was looking at the games in Tampa. So
Oh,
it is a night game. It's 6:35 tomorrow.
I'm sure
Stephen
the Rays
Matz,
love that night game getaway. I'm sure they're
yes,
just thrilled about it.
Stephen Matz versus Trey Gibson. Um, Ross, I had to ask you a question. If you had, and I know the options are very limited, so they're bringing up Trey Gibson. The Tampa Bay Rays, when they had a couple injuries, they ended up moving Garrett Jacks, who had been a relief pitcher like the last 4 or 5 years. He's now starting pitcher with Tampa. If you had anybody on the current Oriole roster, do you see anybody that would be a candidate? I know it's hard enough getting 5 good starters out there right now, all working well. Do you see anybody that you say, you know, something, he's got the makeup and the stuff, he could convert?
Well, I know who did it a little bit before was Aiken.
Right.
And he would
Uh,
be. I think he would be the obvious guy to get an opportunity to do that. But as far as anybody else, I don't see anybody else other than Aiken because he's done it before.
Let me ask you a question. Looking ahead, knowing how the Orioles are and what's in the minors, all the guys they talked about this spring are not pitching well. Um, who are the names, Luke? Again, Nestor German,
Luis De Leon,
De Leon is at Bowie.
right?
Craig Gibson hasn't been great, you know.
Yeah.
And there's 2 other guys. Getting old is a bitch. But anyway, if you had a guy, and I'm going to point out to Nunez, I think Nunez has the stuff to be a convertee to a starting pitcher. And Luke, you know me well. I'm always professing, as I did 30 years ago with Arthur Rhodes,
Mhm.
DL Hall. I always see good relief pitchers and failed, struggling starters. Do you think Nunez could be a project for the offseason? Because as sure as I'm sitting here, Mike Elias, if he's still in the position, he'll be scuffling to find
Yeah.
2 or 3
Yeah.
new starters.
Yeah. They're going to be in a position again, no matter who the GM is, to find 2 or 3 starting pitchers in the offseason again.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that Anthony Nunez has the body to start. He's got the delivery to start, and he
And
has
he's
the
got the
rep.
poise. He's got
He's
the
got the
poise.
poise. The issue with Anthony, which we were talking about 10 minutes ago, is just how green he is as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And you could see that inexperience that Ross was talking about as a reliever right now.
It
But
shows up in an inning and
but
2/3.
what
Yeah.
what you really like about Anthony is that he has the stuff to get out left-handed hitters. Because if you're a right-handed starter, what are you going to see a lot of?
An awful
Left-handed.
lot of left-handed
So
hitters.
you better have weapons to get those guys out. I think he does. And I think I don't think it's a crazy thought. I really don't. I don't think it's a
So Ross, if it's not a crazy thought, and I got to talk to Mike Elias, and he said, that's interesting. Would you prefer to do that have him work to stretch out during the off season, or would you try and accomplish that during this season?
Yeah, you know that if you look what the Orioles have done pitching wise at their minor league system, it's
Yeah.
not very good.
No.
I mean that has to change because if you're not going to go out and get quality guys, somewhat quality, and not the guys off the that's been DFA'd and wavered and everything else, you're getting somebody's retreads. So I mean, and I don't know what they're really. You watch how the guys pitch now, and you go, that doesn't make sense. So something's wrong somewhere. So I mean, they may try to make anybody, but I would go out and get some quality arms.
Well, again, we'll see. I think they'll try and do that again this year. Clearly, Trevor Rogers is, and I was all in favor of signing him to a 3-year contract. I'm not saying I'm fully done with him, but that's really muddled now, clearly.
But
Very
yeah,
much.
I mean, again, he goes somewhere else, and
Oh,
somebody's
he
going to
might.
get a hold of him. Somebody's going to get a hold of him and be able to do something. I think,
You
you
give
know.
you put him with Mike Maddox, and you're going to have a pretty
Well,
good team.
put him in Tampa.
Yeah.
Put him in Tampa or Atlanta or one of these other places. I mean, I just think there's without saying it, I think there could be some help somewhere, and I
I will
don't
say
think.
this was the same pitching crew that he did so well with last year. He had a
Yeah.
1.8 in about 110 innings last year with this same pitching staff. It's like coaching staff on the pitching side. So, I just think that Trevor has sort of ridden a roller coaster of extremes the past couple of years, where he pitched the best 110 innings of his life last year, and he's not that good. And guess what? He ain't this bad either. He's not.
No.
And I think that he's probably run into some bad luck. And yeah, the command has not been nearly as good as it was last year. I'm no denying that. The changeup hasn't been quite as good. But I wouldn't give up on this guy. I really wouldn't.
No, I
No.
wouldn't either. I wouldn't
And
either. Let
I don't
me.
know how long it's going to take him to turn it around, but I think he's earned a little bit more of a leash. Um,
I,
Oh,
than
sure, yeah,
yeah.
really.
I want to remind everybody that the other day he did, after giving up that home run in the first inning, he did settle down and retire 11 in a row. And it wasn't like when the game got broken open, it wasn't like they clobbered him. There were a couple pink hits in there. There were a couple good hits too.
And
But
it's not like the Orioles did anything offensively in that
yeah,
game anyway.
yeah.
So,
Speaking of offense, to close out the show today, um, Luke, you mentioned several weeks ago when I was sort of critical of Chris Bassett. You said he's got 18 million and a half reasons that he's going to be here. He's going to
right.
have a long leash. Well, there's an offensive player that has produced virtually nothing with the
Yeah.
Orioles through nearly a year and a half now.
Right.
And that's Tyler O'Neill, who's
Yep.
still owed, am I right, about 25,
I
20,
think it's like about 27, 28 mil still
27, 28
on
million
the hook for
dollars.
you.
The manager, and I'm not expecting to walk into a post-game presser and have Craig Albanez, Ross, berate a hitter for poor performance, but he also doesn't have to say, I know it sounds crazy, but I see he's very close right now. And I watch his at bats pretty closely because I believed in the turnaround, and he's on my fantasy team. And I got to tell you, he's he's putrid right now.
He's hitting under 100 for May.
I'm yeah, yeah. Well,
He's-
thank God May's just about over.
Well,
yeah, really. But I mean,
You know what, Ross? I texted Stan the other day and I said, at what point do you cut the guy just to get the roster spot back? So at least you can do something else with that roster spot. And he said, look, you got a GM on shaky ground, potentially, and
Yep.
he's not in a position to ask the owner to eat $30
Yeah,
million.
right.
I'm telling you, the owner, like David Rubenstein, I guarantee you, he'd say to David Rubenstein, he'd go, Mike, do what you got to do. Mike Arrighetti is sitting there, and again, this is a guy who knows baseball. He played fantasy baseball. Whatever you think, Ross, of fantasy baseball players, they know baseball at some level. And Mike Arrighetti's going to sit there going, he signed this guy for Bassett for 18 and a half. He signed Kittredge for 9. He's asking me to eat 27 million on, maybe it's time to look into changing something in his department. So I don't think Mike is running into Craig Albernaz. So Craig, partly because of injuries, is putting him out there
Right.
and saying, I think he's close. And I think between me and you, he's saying that, and he's going like,
Yeah, really.
fingers crossed and everything. And he's going to be right about that. I
It
don't
comes
see it.
down. It comes down. How bad do you want to win?
Yeah.
And you don't want to. Well, again, probably Elias is telling him, keep running him out there
Yeah.
because I don't want to look bad on doing this. But Kowser keeps doing the stuff that he's doing.
Right.
You got to put him in the game. You got to play Basayo more. Get your guys. You might as well get the guys that are the future. Play them. They're going to take their lumps, play them against left-handers, play them against whoever, but get a set lineup. These guys are going to come to the park and go, you know what? I'm playing tonight, and I know I'll be playing tomorrow, but you keep switching, running, doing this, that, and the other. I don't see it.
Ross has got the last word on the show today. Guys, there was a reason that I wanted to do next Tuesday as well, but I can't think of the reason right this second. Are you both open for Monday or Tuesday next week?
Yeah, I think that should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you in the next couple days. All right. That's going to do it for the Monday baseball chat on a Tuesday. I'm Stan the Fan, along with Luke Jackson and Ross Grimsley, and we've been brought to you by our friends at Costas Inn and WarnkenLaw.com. 443 results for the best representation in Baltimore and the state of Maryland if you've been injured in a car accident through no fault of your own. That's going to do it for today. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.